She walked away from the CIA with nothing but her integrity. Now 18 assassination contracts, 72 hours, and one impossible mission will prove why they should have never let her go. Watch how a disgraced operative with tactical genius takes down 53 professional killers without a single death, protects a billionaire everyone wants dead, and turns a death trap into an inescapable fortress. This isn't just survival. This is a masterclass in strategic warfare you've never seen before. Before Claudia Reeves shows you how one woman can outsmart an entire army of assassins, hit that subscribe button right now, drop a like, and comment below telling me where you're watching from. I want to know if you're team tactical genius or team overwhelmed. You're about to witness the most intense 72 hours of protection you've ever seen. Let's go. The encrypted phone buzzed at 2:47 a.m., pulling Claudia Reeves from a dreamless sleep in her cramped Seoul apartment. The message contained no words, just coordinates and a time. 6 a.m., rooftop restaurant overlooking the Han River. She stared at the screen for a long moment before deleting the message and swinging her legs out of bed. 3 months since her discharge. 3 months since she'd walked out of CIA headquarters with nothing but her integrity and a dishonorable mark on her record that would follow her forever. The messenger who'd tracked her down to the underground gym yesterday had been persistent, professional, and expensive. Someone with serious resources wanted her attention. The restaurant was empty when she arrived, except for a young Korean man standing at the railing. Even from behind, Claudia could tell he was someone who commanded attention. Broad shoulders, perfect posture, expensive suit that fit like it had been made for his muscular frame. When he turned, she was struck by how young he looked, late 20s at most, with sharp features and eyes that seemed too tired for his age. "Miss Reeves," he said in perfect English. "Thank you for coming. I'm Yoon Sung-woo." Before she could respond, another figure emerged from the elevator. An older woman in tactical gear, her expression hard as stone. "This is Director Han Bora," Sung-woo continued, "head of my security team." Han's eyes swept over Claudia with obvious disapproval. "We need a team, not a disgraced American." Claudia didn't flinch. "Then why am I here?" Sung-woo pulled out a tablet, tapped it twice, and handed it to her. The screen showed a map of Seoul with 18 red markers pulsing in various locations. Each marker represents a confirmed contract on my life. 5 different countries, 12 different organizations. I testify before international regulators in 72 hours about how my company's quantum encryption technology has been weaponized without my knowledge. A lot of very powerful people would prefer I didn't make it to that testimony. Claudia studied the map, her tactical mind already calculating threat vectors. "Your regular security failed. That's why you're calling me." "My regular security is excellent," Han interjected, "but this situation requires something different." "It requires someone expendable," Claudia said flatly. "Someone with no official connections. Someone who won't be missed if this goes sideways." She looked at Sung-woo. "You're not hiring me because you trust me. You're hiring me because I'm your last option before the funeral." Sung-woo didn't deny it. "I'm hiring you because you walked away from the CIA rather than follow an illegal order. That tells me something about your character. And right now, character is all I have left to believe in." The words hit harder than Claudia expected. She looked back at the tablet, at those 18 pulsing threats. "My rate is triple standard for this level of risk, and I have one condition: complete tactical authority. No questions, no second guessing. If I'm keeping you alive, everyone does exactly what I say." Han bristled, but Sung-woo nodded. "Done." "Then I need to see your compound. Now." If you're enjoying this story of tactical precision and impossible odds, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting me know what you think Claudia's first move should be. Now let's see what she's walking into. The drive took 40 minutes into the hills outside Seoul. Sungwoo's compound was a modernist masterpiece of glass, steel, and water features that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. It also looked like a tactical nightmare. Claudia walked the perimeter in silence while Han followed, radiating resentment. She identified 3 critical vulnerabilities within 20 minutes: the eastern wall where landscaping created blind spots, the server room with a ventilation system large enough to crawl through, and the main entrance with its biometric scanners that could be spoofed with the right equipment. Inside, she studied the layout with professional detachment. Open floor plans, glass interior walls, reflecting pools, soaring ceilings. Beautiful. Indefensible. She met the 8-person security team, noting their positions, training backgrounds, and the subtle ways they looked to Han instead of her. Then she met Dr. Adrian Cross, a British cybersecurity expert who managed Sungwoo's technical infrastructure. He seemed helpful, competent, and nervous. She filed that away. In Sungwoo's office, she laid out her requirements. Total Q blackout. Every phone, every smartwatch, every connected device gets destroyed or locked away. Wi-Fi goes down, external lines get cut. We become a black hole for the next 72 hours. That's insane, Han said. How do we call for help? You don't. That's the point. Claudia turned to Sungwoo. Every connection is a vulnerability. Every device is a tracking beacon. If I can't guarantee the security of your communications, no one communicates, not even you. Sungwoo was quiet for a moment, then began removing his smartwatch. Do it. The next 6 hours were a masterclass in controlled chaos. Claudia collected phones from the security team over their protests. She physically destroyed Sungwoo's medical monitoring watch with a hammer while he watched, face pale. She shut down the Wi-Fi, cut external phone lines, and disabled Han's emergency beacon. The compound became an island. Then came the real work. She installed pressure sensors in corridors, rigged infrared motion triggers, set up non-lethal deterrent systems throughout the compound. Flashbangs, sedative gas canisters, taser nets, UV strobe lights. She worked with methodical precision, speaking little, missing nothing. Sungwoo followed her as she worked, asking quiet questions. When she was installing a pressure plate near one of the reflecting pools, he asked, "Why do you wear your hair like that?" "The finger wave style. It seems impractical for this kind of work." Claudia's hands paused for just a moment. "My grandmother wore it this way. Taught me how to do it myself when I was 12. She said some things you don't let go of, even in chaos, especially in chaos. Like principles," he said softly. She looked at him then, really looked at him. "Why are you testifying instead of hiding? You could disappear, take your money, live quietly somewhere. Some things are worth more than survival." His voice was steady. "If I hide, if I stay silent, I'm complicit in every weapon built with my technology, every life taken. I can't live with that." The words resonated in a way Claudia hadn't expected. That was exactly why she'd refused her orders, why she'd walked away from everything she'd built. She turned back to her work without responding, but something had shifted between them. That evening, while reviewing security footage in the monitoring room, she noticed something. Dr. Cross accessing the servers at 3 a.m. 2 days ago, then again at 2:30 a.m. yesterday. Alone, both times. She pulled up more footage, found 4 other instances over the past week. All at night. All when he should have been off duty. She didn't confront him. Instead, she found him in the server room and casually mentioned that Sungwoo would be moved to a safe room in the western wing if things escalated. She watched his eyes flick briefly to the eastern section of the compound. Noted. She set up hidden cameras in 3 locations, in the east wing that only someone with insider knowledge would need to check. Night fell. 36 hours before testimony. The compound lights created pools of illumination against the darkness, reflecting off the glass and water. Claudia ran final checks on her deterrent systems, then created her kill funnel, a deliberately weakened point in the eastern perimeter security that would channel attackers exactly where she wanted them. Xiangwu brought her coffee in the security room near midnight. The compound was quiet, the security team on rotation. Han asleep in the barracks. "Are you afraid?" he asked. Claudia took the coffee, surprised by the question. "Every mission has fear. The trick is making it work for you instead of against you." "I'm afraid," he admitted. "Not of dying, of failing, of all this being for nothing." She turned in her chair to face him. "You asked why I got discharged. The mission was in Yemen, civilian target, high value, intelligence, they said. Necessary casualties, except I'd done reconnaissance. I knew there were children in that building, 12 of them, school in the basement." Her voice was steady, clinical. "I refused the order, told them to abort. They threatened court-martial. I said do it. Walked out with MPs escorting me. Been running ever since." "Do you regret it?" Claudia looked at him, at this young man willing to die for his principles, and felt something she hadn't felt in months. Purpose. "Not anymore." His hand moved toward hers on the desk, stopped just short of touching. The moment stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Then the alarm shrieked. Perimeter motion detected. Multiple heat signatures. Claudia's screen lit up with movement markers. 4 contacts approaching from the east, moving with tactical precision. She was already moving, pulling her earpiece in, keying Han's channel. 4 contacts, eastern approach. They have access. Codes. Wake everyone. Lockdown protocol. She moved through the compound like a ghost, watching the monitors on her tactical pad. The 4 contractors breached the eastern wall exactly where she'd expected, using legitimate entry codes. The insider had given them access. She let them come, funneling them into the corridor she'd prepared. The first man died without knowing what hit him. Not died, collapsed. Claudia's flashbang disoriented him. Her nerve strike to his carotid put him down in seconds. Zip tie. Move. The second walked into her taser net, convulsing and dropping. The third and fourth rushed toward the safe room location Cross had checked earlier. They found a corridor filled with sedative gas instead. Claudia dragged all 4 outside the perimeter, left them zip-tied and unconscious in the grass. "Message sent," she said into her comm. In the security room, Xiangwu had watched every second on the monitors. When she returned, he looked at her differently, not afraid. Awed. "That was just the test," she said. "The real attack comes next." She was right. At 4:15 a.m., 15 contacts hit the compound simultaneously. Professional, coordinated, military-grade tactical movement. Claudia watched them breach from multiple points and smiled grimly. They were using her kill funnel exactly as planned, concentrating their forces in the eastern approach while sending smaller teams to other entry points as distractions. She activated her defenses in sequence. UV strobe lights flooded the kill funnel corridor, blinding the first wave. Pressure-triggered flashbangs took out 3 more. She moved between positions, using the compound's architecture against the attackers. The glass walls became mirrors, showing her their positions. The water features became weapons when she flooded the lower corridor and ran electrical current through it, non-lethal but completely incapacitating. Hand-to-hand combat in the flooded section was brutal and efficient. She disarmed rather than killed, taking their weapons, using their own tactics against them. A knife to disarm, not to kill. A joint lock to immobilize, not to break. Every move precise, controlled, professional. But there was one attacker who moved differently. A woman, blonde, cold-eyed, directing the others with hand signals. She didn't rush in. She waited, watched, learned. Claudia recognized a kindred spirit, another tactical mind, another professional. While the main assault raged, Dr. Cross made his move. Han intercepted him trying to access the safe room, slammed him against the wall with a pistol to his head. Traitor! Claudia arrived at a run, weapon drawn. But instead of shooting Cross, she lowered her gun. They have your daughter. Cross's face crumbled. How did you... You're not greedy. You're terrified. I saw it in your eyes. She looked at Han. Lower your weapon. He betrayed us. He was coerced. Claudia kept her voice level. There's a difference. She turned to Cross. Where is she? London. They took her 3 weeks ago. Said they'd send her back piece by piece if I didn't help them. Tears streamed down his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Claudia made a decision. She locked Cross in the server room, not to punish him, but to protect him. You'll have to live with what you did. That's worse than anything I could do to you. She paused at the door. Who's leading the assault? Valentina Sokolov, former Spetsnaz. She won't stop until she completes the contract or dies trying. The information proved accurate seconds later when 3 operatives breached the safe room corridor with Sokolov directing them. Seung-woo stood frozen by the panic button that would alert authorities but doom Cross's daughter. 10 seconds until the inner door exploded. Claudia arrived as the door blew inward. She took down the first operative with a spinning kick that sent him into the wall, unconscious before he hit the ground. The second raised his weapon, but she was already inside his guard, redirecting his aim and driving her elbow into his solar plexus. He dropped, gasping. The third was better, trained, fast. They exchanged blows for 15 seconds that felt like hours, each testing the other's defenses. Claudia finally got the advantage when she used the narrow corridor against him, limiting his movement while she had full range. A precise strike to his knee buckled his leg. A follow-up to his temple ended it. Then it was just her and Valentina Sokolov. The blonde woman stood in the doorway, utterly calm, weapon holstered. She studied Claudia with professional interest. You're good. Better than the intel suggested. Walk away, Claudia said. You've already lost. I don't lose. I complete contracts. Sokolov moved into the corridor with predatory grace. Nothing personal, just business. Everything's personal when you're trying to kill someone. They circled each other, 2 tactical minds measuring distances, calculating angles. Sokolov attacked first, a feint followed by a real strike that would have connected if Claudia hadn't anticipated it. They traded blows, neither landing anything significant. Claudia realized quickly that Sokolov was her equal in skill, possibly her superior in raw technique. She couldn't win this through strength or speed, so she did what she did best, she thought. Sokolov was patient, methodical. She wouldn't rush, wouldn't make mistakes. She'd wear Claudia down, wait for an opening, then strike with lethal precision. That patience was her strength. It could also be her weakness. Claudia let herself appear to tire, backing slowly down the corridor. Sokolov followed, confident, controlled. She was scanning for traps, Claudia knew. Looking for pressure plates, tripwires, anything obvious. She'd find nothing because Claudia had been more subtle than that. The pressure plate was behind Sokolov, not in front. She'd already walked over it when entering. It was designed to activate only on the second pass, when weight was applied from the opposite direction. Claudia had planned for someone exactly like Sokolov, someone who would check forward but not behind. Claudia lunged forward, seemingly desperate. Sokolov smoothly stepped back to counter. Her heel came down on the pressure plate from the reverse angle. The stun trap activated with a sharp crack of electricity. Sokolov's body went rigid, then collapsed. Not dead, not even seriously injured, just completely incapacitated. Claudia zip-tied her wrists and ankles, then crouched beside her. "You were good, really good, but you thought like an assassin. I think like a protector. Different mindset, different priorities, different traps." Sokolov's eyes blazed with fury and grudging respect. "This isn't over." "Yeah, it is." Claudia stood and walked to the safe room where Shengwu stood in the doorway, pale but unharmed. Their eyes met across the corridor, and something passed between them that had nothing to do with the violence and everything to do with the choice he'd made. He hadn't pressed the panic button. He'd chosen to protect Cross's daughter over his own immediate safety. "It's over," she said again, this time to him. Dawn broke over the compound like a benediction. Claudia stood on the terrace, watching the sun paint the sky in shades of orange and gold, while Korean authorities processed the scene below. 19 attackers neutralized, 0 fatalities. The security team moved among the zip-tied contractors with professional efficiency, cataloging weapons and equipment. Han directed operations with her usual stern competence, though she'd nodded at Claudia earlier with something that might have been respect. A black sedan pulled up, and a woman in a suit emerged. Agent Rachel Torres, Claudia's former CIA handler. She was older than Claudia remembered, with silver threading through her dark hair, but her eyes were as sharp as ever. "Impressive work," Torres said, joining her on the terrace. 19 professional contractors taken down by one woman. That's going to be the subject of some very classified analysis reports. "I'm sure it will." "The agency wants you back, Claudia. Clean slate, full reinstatement. We could use someone with your skills and your judgment." Torres pulled out a business card, held it out. "Just say the word." Claudia looked at the card, then at Torres. "I don't work for people who mistake orders for ethics. I thought I made that clear when I walked out." That situation was complex. There were factors you didn't understand. There were children in that building, 12 of them. That's the only factor that mattered. Claudia's voice was calm, final. "I'm not coming back. Not for reinstatement, not for apologies, not for anything." Torres nodded slowly, tucking the card away. "I respect that, but if you ever change your mind, you know how to reach me." She started to walk away, then turned back. "For what it's worth, you made the right call. In Yemen. Here. All of it. The agency doesn't always reward the right calls, but that doesn't make them less right." After she left, Shengwu joined Claudia on the terrace. He looked exhausted but satisfied. The secure video testimony had gone smoothly. He'd survived to tell the truth about his technology, about the weapons, about everything. The immediate mission was complete. "Thank you," he said simply. "Just doing my job." "No, you did more than that. You gave Cross a chance when Han would have killed him. You kept every attacker alive when killing would have been easier. You protected not just my life, but my principles." He was quiet for a moment. "I want to hire you permanently." Claudia turned to look at him, surprised. "As what? A bodyguard?" "As a partner. Help me build something better. Ethical security infrastructure for technology companies. Protection that doesn't compromise values. You proved it's possible. One person, 72 hours, impossible odds, and you never sacrificed your principles. Imagine what we could do together with resources and time. The offer hung in the air between them. Claudia thought about the past 3 months of aimless drifting, about fighting in underground gyms for money, about having skills and no purpose. Then she thought about the past 72 hours, about Shengwu's determination to testify despite the risks, about Cross's coerced betrayal and the choice not to punish him, about Sokolov's professional respect, even in defeat. "I need to check something first," she said. In the security room, she pulled up all the intelligence they'd gathered: phones from captured contractors, data from Cross's servers, interrogation notes from Han's questioning. She started mapping connections, tracing networks, following the money. Shengwu watched over her shoulder as the pattern emerged. All 18 contracts had come through the same broker network, same payment structure, same operational framework. She dug deeper, found encrypted communications, decoded them using passwords from captured phones. What she found made her blood run cold. "This was a test run," she said quietly. "What do you mean?" She pulled up a document. UN Technology Summit, 3 months away, Geneva. 47 tech leaders confirmed to attend, including Shengwu. Every name on the list represented someone pushing for ethical technology standards, transparency in AI development, restrictions on surveillance capitalism. Someone is planning mass assassination, not just you, all of them. This entire operation was testing tactics, measuring response times, identifying weaknesses. She looked at him. "We stopped 18 contracts tonight. There will be 200 at that summit." Shengwu stared at the list of names, his face grave. "We have to warn them. Warning isn't enough. They need protection, real protection, the kind that actually works." Claudia leaned back in her chair, mind already racing through scenarios and solutions. "Your offer, does it still stand?" "Always." "Then here's my counter-proposal. We don't just build ethical security. We build a team, train people who think like protectors, not soldiers, people who understand that keeping someone alive is harder and more important than killing their enemies. We prepare for that summit like it's a war, because it will be." Before you find out what happens next, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the conclusion. Drop a like if Claudia's tactical genius has you hooked. Now let's see where this partnership leads. They worked through the morning, building plans, making calls to trusted contacts, starting to assemble resources. Han joined them, offering her expertise and her team. Cross, released from the server room and given asylum in exchange for his technical knowledge, provided critical intelligence about the broker network. Even Sokolov, facing charges but offered a deal for cooperation, provided insights into how the assault had been planned. By noon, they had the skeleton of a strategy. By evening, they had commitments from 12 security professionals Claudia trusted, people she'd worked with before her discharge, people who shared her values. By midnight, they had initial funding secured through Shengwu's legitimate business contacts. Claudia stood in Shengwu's office, looking out over the compound. The damage from the assault was already being repaired. The sun was setting again, painting the sky in shades of purple and red. She felt his presence behind her before he spoke. 72 hours ago, I thought I was going to die, he said quietly. Now I'm planning to protect 47 people from a coordinated global assassination attempt. You've changed my life completely. You changed mine too. She turned to face him. I've been running since I left the CIA. No purpose, no direction, just surviving. You gave me something to believe in again. He stepped closer, and this time when his hand reached for hers, he didn't stop. Their fingers intertwined naturally, perfectly. I trust you, he said, not just with my life, with everything. That's dangerous, she said softly. I know. He smiled, and it transformed his tired face into something younger, lighter. But some risks are worth taking. They stood like that for a long moment, hands linked, looking at each other with the understanding of two people who'd faced death together and chosen to build something better. Then Claudia's tactical mind reasserted itself. We need to talk logistics. The summit is in 3 months. That gives us 90 days to recruit, train, and deploy a protection detail capable of handling a force at least 10 times what we faced here. We need to establish secure communications, identify potential insider threats, scout the venue, map every entrance and exit, and create contingency plans for 17 different attack scenarios I've already identified. Sung-woo laughed, the sound surprising both of them. Do you ever stop thinking tactically? Not really, no. Good. That's why we'll succeed. He pulled up his tablet, which now showed the UN summit venue in 3-dimensional detail. 72 hours for one person. How long for 47? Claudia studied the display, her mind already working through problems and solutions, threats and counters. Her fingerwave hairstyle caught the light from the screen, still perfect, despite everything she'd been through. Some things you didn't let go of, even in chaos. Especially in chaos. However long it takes, she said finally, we'll be ready. The screen updated with new information. 6 more contracts had just been posted on the broker network, all targeting summit attendees. The war was already beginning. Claudia watched the markers appear with professional detachment, but underneath, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Not fear, not anxiety, purpose. She squeezed Sung-woo's hand once, then released it to start making calls. There was work to do, people to protect, a larger battle to prepare for. The siege of the compound had been just the beginning. The real war was still ahead. But for the first time since walking out of CIA headquarters with her discharge papers, Claudia Reeves knew exactly where she belonged and what she was fighting for. Not orders from above, not national security abstractions, but people who believed that some things were worth more than survival. People who chose integrity over safety, people worth protecting. The night deepened outside the windows. Inside, Claudia and Sung-woo bent over screens and plans, building something new from the ashes of the assault. Somewhere in the world, enemies were planning and plotting. But here, in this compound in the hills outside Seoul, 2 people who'd found each other through violence were choosing to build something better. And that, Claudia thought as she outlined protection protocols for the summit, was the most important battle of all. Not just surviving the attacks, but proving that ethical protection was possible, that you could keep people alive without becoming monsters, that principles and effectiveness weren't mutually exclusive. The screen glowed in the darkness, showing threats and possibilities in equal measure. Claudia smiled slightly, fingers flying across the keyboard. The siege was over. The war was just beginning. And she was exactly where she needed to be. If this story of impossible odds and unshakable principles kept you watching until the end, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think happens at the summit. Subscribe for more stories of tactical brilliance and the people who refuse to compromise their values, even when the whole world is trying to kill them. Thanks for watching.